Hello and welcome to my in-depth analysis of The Test Stream, one of the most memorable episodes from the critically acclaimed TV series The Sopranos. In this presentation I will jump into the captivating dream sequence within the episode, exploring the masterful use of colour, editing, sound design and camera work that make it such a memorable moment in The Sopranos.
Please. You have any idea what you just did?
The Sopranos was first aired in 1999 and created by David Chase. The show follows Tony Soprano as he struggles with depression while trying to balance his life as a mobster and as a husband and father. David Chase told New York Times that the show was created thanks to his heritage, telling them, "I was Italian American and I wanted to see Italian Americans portrayed." Through The Sopranos, he wanted to show the different sides of being Italian American. He portrayed not only the more stereotypical mafia side of it, but through characters such as Dr. Melfi, he showed the realistic, successful portrayal of the modern Italian American. The episode The Test Stream was aired on May 16, 2004, the 11th episode of the 5th season. During the episode, Tony finds that his cousin's friend and former cellmate has been murdered. Fearing how his cousin, Tony Benedetto, played by the great Steve Buscemi, will react, Tony Soprano tries to contact his cousin, but fails. Soprano then enters a dream sequence, portraying his inner fears that his cousin is going to do something drastic in the name of revenge. The historic episode is directed by Alan Coulter, written by David Chase and Matthew Weiner, with editing from Conrad M. Gonzalez. So, what are my aims and objectives for this presentation? Well, to start with, my aim is to analyse the dream sequence from the episodes. And then my objectives are firstly to look at the colours used, the sound design, the editing and the camera work to help understand how they work together to convey the mental health of Tony Soprano. We will also be looking at how realistically the dream sequence is portrayed to help immerse the viewer into the show. To start with, we are going to be looking at how colour is used in the episode. The dream sequence in The Test Stream uses colour in a profound way. As Tony Soprano descends into his subconscious, muted hues cover the screen. The lack of colour conveys distinct emotions. The symbolism lies in the contrast between Tony's dreamscape and reality, creating a visual that guides us through Tony's psyche. The warm, saturated tones, such as yellows, reds and oranges, present the sense of desire, passion and intensity, mirroring Tony's internal conflicts. The colours are all bleak, mirroring Tony's bleak outlook on life. Whilst navigating the dream, these colours change and transform, showing his shift in moods and broken thoughts. The colour invites the audience to empathise with Tony's turbulent emotional state. During the scene, we see Blendetto, Tony's cousin, is dressed in all black, which is historically symbolic of death. This shows that Tony knows that his cousin is planning on murdering someone to exact revenge. It also foreshadows Steve Buscemi's character's death at the hands of Tony Soprano that comes later in the season. We then see death symbolised again by the black SUV. This SUV is representative of a hearse, as we see two characters who have already died in the series sat in the back. The fact that he is therefore running to the black SUV, representative of death, shows that if he does keep running from his responsibilities, he will himself end up dying. On the opposite spectrum of colour, we see Annette Bening, the famous actress playing herself in the dream. Clad in all white, the white outfit shows that Tony sees her as pure and above the rest of him and his friends and family. This is due to the fact that she is not connected to the mafioso lifestyle. Then finally, we see Tony's wife Carmela and their house, both of which are covered in white and gold. The use of white and gold is symbolic of royalty, showing that Tony sees himself as a king and his wife as a queen. This viewpoint of his is shown throughout the show as he continues to put himself above others.
I should go.
You didn't take care of that?
What? Check this out.
Be careful.
Sound design plays a pivotal role in shaping the dream sequence of The Test Stream. The soundscape immerses the viewer into Tony's psyche, whilst evoking emotional responses.
This is it. I knew this was gonna happen. Over here.
By using distorted voices, the sound design reinforces the surreal quality of the dream. Eerie echoes heard throughout reflect Tony's anxieties and fears. Throughout the dream sequence, there is no non-diegetic sound. This works to immerse the audience into the episode, working to make the audience feel as if they are dreaming themselves. The use of distant bird calls also creates the illusion that this is all happening in the middle of nowhere, supported by the echoed footsteps as he runs. All of this is done to represent how lonely Tony is, as he feels that he is all by himself, even when surrounded by people. As we watch Tony run away from his responsibilities, represented in this scene by the angry mob, we hear said mob shouting. However, if you look closely, you'll see that none of their mouths are moving, or even open, showing that this is Tony himself shouting, and he knows that it is himself and his responsibilities trying to catch up to him.
Over here. I'm wiped out.
As he sits in the front of the SUV, he hears a burp come from the back of the car. In the back of the car is where the two deceased characters are. This shows how Tony associates death with disgust.
What's that noise?
It's those mix outside the hotel with those carriage rides.
Tell them go away.
And finally, we have an extremely clever piece of sound design. Earlier in the episode, it is shown that Tony is staying at the Plaza Hotel in New York, which is famously known for having horses and carriages outside. So the fact that we hear the horses in the dream shows that the outside world is incepting into his dream, serving as a reminder to the audience that this is all one big dream. Moving on to editing, the test dream uses a seamless blend of techniques to show the dreamlike state of the episode. Through transitions, crossfades and jump cuts, the boundaries between reality and sleep become blurred, reinforcing Tony's disoriented mental state. These editing choices serve as a bridge between Tony's conscious and subconscious mind. The use of quick cuts paired with long cuts synergizes with the dreams. They often change pace and are quite unstable. The shots often change location and time instantly. This instability represents Tony's unstable mind frame, as his mind bounces from one thing to the next, showing the audience how much Tony has on his mind. During the sequence, we see that it goes from day to night instantly. This is representative of going from good to bad, with day being representative of good and night therefore representative of bad. This shows the audience that Tony struggles to tell the difference between good and bad, and that he strays from being a good person to being a bad person without meaning to, and without even noticing. The different editing techniques used by Gonzalez, as well as the impressive sound design, works to symbolise Tony's state of being. The quick cuts mixed with the slower cuts, combined with subtle yet loud in places sound design, shows how Tony's mental state is a mess. Quite simply, he is all over the place. Like the range of shot length, Tony struggles to focus on one thing, allowing himself to be distracted from his responsibilities. Throughout the episode, we see Tony coming to terms with the fact he may have to murder his own cousin. The bleak colour scheme and muted soundscape shows that this is making Tony even more depressed, as he knows what he must do. The different shots used throughout the sequence work well to tie all of this together and to ultimately show how Tony sees the world. For example, this low-angle shot of Blendetto, Tony's cousin, shows that Tony sees his cousin as powerful due to the fact that Tony's fate is in his cousin's hand. We also see multiple shots of Blendetto in the middle of the frame. This conveys to the audience that all Tony can think about is his cousin, and he is currently the centre of his world. Then finally we see a range of POV shots from Tony's perspective. This is important as it aligns the viewer with Tony. It shows that although he's a criminal and mob boss, and even a killer, he too struggles with mental health, just like the viewer. This is a perfect encapsulation of the show. In conclusion, the test stream stands as a testament to the power of visual storytelling in television. Through its expert use of colour, editing, sound design and camera work, it immerses us into the inner workings of Tony Soprano's mind, blurring the boundaries between reality and subconscious. This episode in itself is almost a perfect summary of The Sopranos. It sees Tony struggling with his mental health due to the fact it's getting harder for him to keep his family life and criminal life separate, which after all is the whole plot of the show. Throughout this presentation, I feel like I learned a great deal about how different techniques are used throughout this episode, and I can't wait to put what I learned into some of my own work in the future. Thank you for listening.